Dexter Morgan is not a hero, and he is not a typical villain either. He lives in the uncomfortable space between justice and murder, morality and monstrosity. From the very beginning, the series forces us to ask a question society itself is afraid of answering: what if the law fails, and someone decides to become the punishment? Dexter's life is built on this contradiction, and that is why people cannot stop watching him. Raised under trauma, shaped by blood, and trained to kill with rules instead of rage, Dexter becomes a reflection of society's darkest fantasies. He kills killers, but he does so without mercy, remorse, or divine authority. The audience is left conflicted: should we condemn him for murder, or secretly thank him for removing monsters the system couldn't touch? This moral confusion is intentional, and it is what makes Dexter unsettlingly human. Dexter does not believe he is good, and that honesty makes him more dangerous. He doesn't pretend to be righteous, he only believes in control. His code is not about justice, it is about survival, discipline, and avoiding chaos. In this way, Dexter isn't punishing villains for the world, he is feeding something broken inside himself. The tragedy of Dexter Morgan is that he was never given a chance to be normal. His childhood trauma didn't just scar him, it defined his entire identity. Harry didn't save Dexter from becoming a monster, he simply taught him how to be a functional one. And that raises a terrifying question: was Dexter created, or was he inevitable? So when we ask whether Dexter is right or wrong, we are really asking something deeper. Can morality exist without empathy? Can murder ever be justified if the victims deserve it? And most importantly, does saving the world matter if you destroy your own soul in the process? 1. Dexter kills not to deliver justice, but to silence his own darkness. Dexter Morgan does not kill because he believes the world will be better, he kills because the urge inside him will not stop screaming. From childhood, his violence is framed as something inevitable rather than chosen. The code of Harry is not a moral compass, it is a leash. Dexter does not feel satisfaction from justice, only relief from restraint. When he kills, the world does not change, but his inner noise quiets. This alone proves he is not a savior. True justice seeks balance, Dexter seeks control. He does not ask whether killing is right, he asks whether killing is necessary for him. Every murder is a form of self-medication. He studies his victims not to understand evil, but to justify acting on his hunger. The ritual matters more than the result. Plastic wrap, clean cuts, disposal, these are comforts, not ethics. If the goal were justice, the method would not matter so much. Dexter's victims are symbols, not responsibilities. He never considers rehabilitation, exposure, or prevention. He chooses the path that feeds him while appearing righteous. This is not heroism, it is structured addiction. The world is merely a stage for his coping mechanism. He doesn't save society, he survives himself through blood. And that makes his actions deeply personal, not altruistic. 2. The code of Harry is a coping strategy, not morality. Harry Morgan did not teach Dexter right from wrong, he taught him how not to get caught. The code prioritizes secrecy over ethics. Don't get caught comes before only kill the guilty, revealing its true purpose. Harry feared Dexter's darkness, but instead of confronting it, he managed it. This creates a dangerous illusion of righteousness. Dexter believes rules equal morality, but rules without empathy are hollow. The code never asks Dexter to reflect, only to execute. It does not encourage restraint, only selectivity. By following it, Dexter avoids accountability. He hides behind his father's voice to avoid questioning himself. This dependency stunts his moral growth completely. He never develops an internal conscience. When Harry's ghost appears, it reinforces control, not compassion. Dexter obeys, not understands. The code also absolves him of guilt, after all, he's doing it right. That mindset is lethal. It transforms murder into routine labor. Victims become checklists, not lives. Harry didn't save Dexter from becoming a monster, he taught him how to be a neat one. And neat monsters are the most dangerous. Because they don't look like monsters at all. 3. Dexter's actions do not fix the system, they bypass it. The justice system in Dexter is flawed, yes, but Dexter never tries to improve it. He doesn't expose corruption, push reform, or protect future victims. He simply removes individuals quietly. This changes nothing structurally. New killers emerge, patterns repeat, and institutions remain broken. Dexter's method is temporary relief, not solution. It is reaction, not prevention. By working within law enforcement, he could have done far more good. Instead, he uses that position to serve his secret life. He withholds evidence, manipulates cases, and misleads investigations. This actively harms justice. Some killers escape longer because Dexter wants them for himself. Victims die waiting for his turn. That alone condemns him morally. Justice delayed becomes justice denied. Dexter does not prioritize public safety, he prioritizes personal timing. His presence creates blind spots in the system. He becomes part of the problem he claims to solve. The world doesn't heal, it adapts around his shadow. 4. Dexter's emotional detachment harms everyone close to him. Dexter's inability to genuinely connect is not harmless. Rita, Deborah, Harrison, all suffer because of his emotional absence. He imitates love instead of feeling it. Relationships become performances. People sense something is missing, even if they can't name it. His secrecy isolates him and those around him. Lies stack until they crush trust completely. Rita's death is not just tragic, it is a consequence. Dexter's double life puts innocent people in danger repeatedly. He convinces himself he can compartmentalize, but he can't. Violence bleeds into domestic life. Deborah's psychological collapse is deeply tied to Dexter's truth. Loving him means being sacrificed slowly. Dexter doesn't protect those he loves, he uses them as camouflage. Even Harrison becomes an extension of fear, not hope. Dexter's legacy is trauma passed down. He doesn't break cycles, he continues them quietly. And that may be his greatest failure. 5. Dexter confuses control with morality. Dexter believes that because he controls his urges, he is better than other killers. This belief becomes the backbone of his self-justification. Control, to him, equals superiority. He looks down on impulsive murderers as sloppy and weak. But restraint does not equal righteousness. A caged predator is still a predator. Dexter's discipline only makes him more efficient, not more ethical. He mistakes self-restraint for virtue. This illusion comforts him. It allows him to believe he is evolved rather than broken. But morality requires empathy, not organization. Dexter feels pride in his precision, not remorse for the act. His calmness during murder frightens more than rage ever could. Control gives him distance from guilt. It lets him believe he's above chaos while actively creating it. In reality, he's not choosing good, he's choosing order. And order without compassion is cold tyranny. Dexter does not rise above evil, he refines it. His self-control only sharpens the blade. 6. Dexter develops a god complex without admitting it. Dexter never openly claims to be a god, but his actions scream it. He decides who lives and who dies based on his judgment alone. There is no appeal process, no second voice. He assumes infallibility. This belief grows stronger with every kill he gets away with. Success feeds his arrogance. He begins to believe the world needs him. That belief is dangerous. Once someone sees themselves as necessary, anything becomes justifiable. Dexter stops questioning his role entirely. He doesn't fear consequences, only exposure. That distinction matters. Fear of punishment is not the same as fear of being wrong. He believes he knows better than law, society, and morality itself. That is the mindset of a god, not a servant of justice. And gods who answer to no one eventually become monsters. Dexter never asks if he should stop. He only asks how to continue safely. That quiet certainty is terrifying. 7. Dexter's hypocrisy exposes his lack of true ethics. Dexter claims to kill only those who deserve it, yet he breaks his own rules repeatedly. He kills out of convenience, emotion, and panic. When threatened, morality disappears instantly. Self-preservation always wins. He bends the code when it suits him. That alone proves it is not sacred. Ethics that vanish under pressure are not ethics at all. They are preferences. Dexter forgives himself for mistakes he would never forgive in others. He condemns killers who act impulsively, yet panics and kills when cornered. He sees others' flaws as proof of guilt, but his own as exceptions. This double standard is central to his character. He wants to be judged by intention, not action. But he judges others only by outcome. That imbalance reveals the truth. Dexter's morality is self-serving. It protects his identity, not the world. And that makes his entire philosophy fragile and false. 8. Dexter does not reduce violence, he perpetuates it. Dexter believes killing killers reduces harm, but violence does not exist in isolation. Every act ripples outward. Investigations are disrupted. Families are left without closure. Victims' stories are erased along with their perpetrators. Justice becomes incomplete. Some killers would have been stopped legally later. Others might have revealed networks or accomplices. Dexter silences information permanently. His kills close doors instead of opening truth. He creates mystery, not resolution. Law enforcement wastes resources chasing ghosts. Trauma spreads quietly. Violence answered with violence does not end the cycle, it feeds it. Dexter becomes part of the ecosystem of death. He does not cleanse the world, he stains it in a quieter way. And because his violence is hidden, it is never reckoned with. Unseen harm still counts. Silence does not equal peace. 9. Dexter's need to kill ultimately outweighs his concern for good. When forced to choose between stopping and killing, Dexter always chooses killing. This reveals his true priority. The urge is stronger than the mission. When life offers him escape, family, or normalcy, he sabotages it. Because normal life would require restraint. And restraint without release feels like suffocation to him. The killings are not a duty, they are oxygen. That truth strips away the heroic illusion completely. Dexter is not sacrificing himself for the world. He is sacrificing the world for his need. Every justification comes after the desire. The logic is built to support the urge, not the other way around. This is addiction disguised as purpose. And addicts rarely stop willingly. Dexter's tragedy is not that he kills, it's that he cannot imagine a self without killing. That dependency defines him more than any code ever could. 10. Dexter mistakes numbness for strength. Dexter prides himself on emotional detachment. He believes feeling less makes him superior. But numbness is not power, it is damage. It limits growth, connection, and moral insight. Emotions are not weaknesses, they are guides. Without them, Dexter navigates blindly. He cannot fully grasp consequences because he cannot feel them. This makes him dangerous. Emotional absence removes brakes. What he calls strength is actually absence of resistance. And that absence lets him do unspeakable things calmly. 11. Dexter's narration manipulates the audience. The series places us inside Dexter's head deliberately. We hear his logic before we see his actions. This framing softens the horror. We begin to understand him before judging him. That is powerful, and dangerous. Sympathy grows where it shouldn't. We excuse what we would condemn in silence. Dexter becomes familiar, even comforting. But narration is not truth. It is perspective. And Dexter's perspective is deeply unreliable. The audience is seduced into complicity. 12. Dexter cannot coexist with accountability. True justice requires accountability. Dexter avoids it at all costs. Exposure terrifies him more than guilt ever could. He does not fear being wrong, he fears being seen. That reveals everything. Someone who believes in their righteousness would accept judgment. Dexter cannot. Because deep down, he knows. Accountability would collapse the narrative he survives on. So he runs. Again and again. 13. Dexter's legacy is unresolved trauma. Dexter's legacy is not about heroism or justice, it is about cycles of pain and trauma that continue beyond him. From the very beginning, Dexter was shaped by loss, fear, and the violent death of his mother. Harry tried to manage that trauma with the code, but the code did not heal him, it only channeled his darkness. That unresolved trauma didn't stop with Dexter, it spreads outward. When Dexter raises Harrison, he inadvertently transfers that shadowed part of himself. Harrison is not just growing up with the knowledge of his father's violence, he is growing up in a world filtered through Dexter's moral ambiguity, where life and death are tools of personal survival, not universal ethics. The trauma Harrison inherits is both psychological and moral. He witnesses a father who kills yet justifies it, creating confusion about right and wrong. This becomes part of Harrison's identity. The ripple doesn't stop with family. Dexter's victims, their families, and the wider community are affected by the consequences of his actions. Every murder leaves gaps in justice, unanswered questions, and lingering fear. Law enforcement is misled, investigations go cold, and innocent people sometimes suffer indirectly from his choices. This is the essence of unresolved trauma. The harm is not addressed, not healed, and not ended. It echoes forward, impacting lives that never interacted with Dexter directly. Dexter's legacy demonstrates that actions, even those intended to save the world, can carry hidden costs. Instead of ending violence, he perpetuates it in subtler ways, emotional, psychological, and moral. His story is a warning that trauma, when left unresolved and unmanaged, doesn't vanish, it multiplies. This is why the legacy of Dexter is tragic. It's not about death statistics, it's about the perpetuation of fear, moral confusion, and emotional instability, especially in the next generation. Harrison's struggle represents the human cost of Dexter's life, showing that even a hero, in his own mind, can leave destruction behind. 14. Dexter is far from being righteous. Dexter is often framed by viewers as an anti-hero, someone we might secretly root for because he targets killers. But his story is tragedy, not righteousness. The tragedy comes from the gap between who Dexter is capable of being and who he actually becomes. He is not evil for the sake of evil, he is bound by a compulsion, a dark part of himself he cannot escape. His killings are not morally righteous interventions for society, they are personal coping mechanisms to quiet a monstrous impulse inside. Every act of justice is motivated as much by self-preservation as by any external benefit. The core of Dexter's tragedy is that he cannot save himself. He can hide, manipulate, and kill to survive and maintain the illusion of control, but he cannot confront the emptiness within. His attempts at love, normalcy, and fatherhood are constantly undermined by his own compulsions. The people around him, Rita, Deborah, Harrison, even colleagues, pay the price for this failure. His inability to fully confront or heal his inner darkness creates collateral damage everywhere he goes. Yet, the tragedy is also humanizing. Dexter invites empathy because his life reflects a fundamental human struggle. We are all wrestling with inner darkness, fear, and trauma in some form. But empathy is not approval. Recognizing the tragedy in Dexter does not mean excusing his actions, it means understanding why someone might feel trapped in a cycle of violence and compulsion. Dexter's life is a mirror of what happens when someone is left unhealed, unmonitored, and unchecked. The audience sympathizes because they see the what could have been, and mourn with him, but they also see the devastation he leaves behind. In short, Dexter is not righteous because his morality is self-serving, inconsistent, and flawed. He is tragic because he cannot reconcile the monster inside him with the human he wants to be, and that failure shapes everyone and everything around him. His story teaches a sobering lesson: sometimes the most compelling characters are the ones who are doomed, not because they are evil, but because they cannot be anything else, and their choices ripple outward, leaving the world both fascinated and scarred.